Dr. Pelto here. I had a question from a patient of mine in one of my previous videos. I've talked abundantly with my patients and on YouTube about intermittent fasting. This helps my patients out, especially those that are diabetic. I want to be very frank here. I usually have one patient per year that actually does this and transforms their life. It's not too common, but I keep talking about it because I'm a big believer that it does works well. Many of my patients, they come in, they injure themselves due to running, and then they're running because they're trying to lose weight. And I don't think that's such a great way of doing it. And that's where I bring up the idea of intermittent fasting. So let's go over one of these questions that I got from a patient recently. The question was, I was thinking in regards to intermittent fasting, a 24-hour water fast, and then a 24-hour feed and repeat. Do you have any thoughts on that? So the question from this patient is they want to eat fast for 24 hours and then eat for 24 hours. First of all, it's hard to eat for 24 hours. You're going to have a hard time doing that, but fasting for 24 hours is a good idea. I want to explain a little bit about fasting. This is an example I got from the internet. I'm not sure, this might be Dr. Fong's book or one of his posts. He's a good explainer of this, but the whole idea is when you're in fat burning, which is this green color here, you're fasting. So this is when you're burning fat. And the less eating you do, the more you burn fat. I know that's obvious. There are certain foods that raise your insulin less. For example, if you're eating fatty foods, when I first started, I was eating a lot of fatty foods. My favorite fatty food is bacon. So I was eating a lot of bacon. Fat makes you feel full, and it doesn't raise your insulin that much. So you're able to burn a little bit more fat, or this insulin level can go down quicker. If you're eating protein, once again, would be more of meat and things like that. And then you get into the digestible carbohydrates, which are all like the breads and the things like that. There are different foods that raise your insulin at different levels. The question then is a 24-hour fast. I'm in a big agreement for 24-hour fasting. The problem is if you eat for 24 hours, you're going to have this line up really, really high, a big line. This is why they talk about time-restricted feeding. So in my opinion, the best way to do this is, first of all, what fits into your life. I want to be very clear about that. I've tried different things, and the most important thing is getting this to fit for you in your life with your family. And so you have to think of how can you make this easy? And so what works for many of my patients is one meal a day. And I usually repeat this over and over. If you want to lose 30 pounds or less, I think one meal a day is fine. If you're looking to lose over 30 pounds, I think every other day eating is the best way to do this. And you have to figure out what days you're going to eat one meal a day. What happens if you're doing one meal a day, which is basically, let's say this is 1 hour of time, you have a spike here and the rest of it's in the green. And that's the best way because you can burn other things. You're going to eat like a meal and a half. You're going to eat more than one meal. A couple of tips if you're doing this one meal a day is to front load your vegetables and your salads. I've been doing this for about 3 years. And what works, so I'll explain kind of what works for me is I've been doing one meal a day. And a couple of things that help. One is I eat it when I get home with my family because that's when everyone eats. I drink coffee usually till noon, and then I drink tea or water in the afternoon. That makes me feel fuller. I find that hot beverages make me feel fuller, so I don't have to eat as much. If someone brings me something, I have food reps, or not food reps, but drug reps that bring me things into the office for my job. And I thank them, and then I bring it home and I'll eat it during my eating window. Okay, that's what I do is I bring it home. And another tip is if you're eating your one meal a day, if you eat in your one meal a day, and then let's say my wife makes something that's really good and I want to eat, what I'll do is I'm going to eat it the next day. So I say I just delay it. And so I'll eat that the next day because I'm not in my eating window anymore. It takes a little bit of practice, but it makes it easier because you have less spikes in your insulin. So a few tips is just pick that what'll fit into your lifestyle. For me, Monday through Friday, I'm at work. I don't have any social obligations. I leave before my kids get up. I fast all day with just black coffee and water. I get home at 5:30. I eat my one meal, and then that's pretty much it. Maybe it might be an hour, it might be a 2-hour window. I might like eat a meal and then something. I'm not too strict when I'm doing my one meal a day. Usually if I'm doing one meal, I'll usually eat vegetables first, then I'll eat my food. And then occasionally I'll have like anything else. I have a little bit of bread or a little bit of cake or whatever else they have sitting around the desserts that I have. Once again, I'm not too strict. If you're really wanting to lose more weight, you're gonna stick more with your fat and your proteins. You're going to do more of a keto type of a diet, which would be vegetables and meat, which I think works really well for that one meal. One of the biggest problems is people don't eat enough. So you need to eat enough for that one meal. I prefer doing my meal at 5:30 because I have a hard time sleeping when I was doing longer fasts. I just have a hard time sleeping when I'm really hungry. So I prefer to eat it at night versus in the morning. Some people prefer that in the morning, but those are my thoughts. I think the 24-hour fast is good. I think a feeding window of 24 hours isn't very effective if you're wanting to lose weight. And a couple of these other tips is fitting it into your lifestyle and then just delaying. You can eat things, but just delay until later. Eat it during your window the next day. And then my last thing that I've been doing lately is there is a good app that I found called, it's just a habit app. It was one I have on my Android phone, and it's a free one. And I put in there the amount of hours I eat every day. And this is, I don't know anyone else really talking about this. So people talk about counting your carbs. I don't count my carbs because I don't like to count my carbs. I don't know how many carbs are in things, just not interesting to me. But I do like to count my hours. And so what I do is I count my hours. And so like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's probably like 2 hours, 3 hours. If I want to eat something before I go to bed, it's a 4-hour window. And then on the weekends, it might be like like this last weekend, it might be like a 15-hour window. And I try to keep my hours around 30 eating hours. So that's, I'm measuring the window that I'm eating. So I try to do about a 30 eating hour per week. And so that's kind of what works for me. So hope this was helpful. I'll put a link here to my intermittent fasting course I have that I give to my patients, and also another video that you may find helpful. Please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this page, and tell me your other questions you have about fasting. If you found this helpful, let me know. Thanks.